I want to start with the NBA, and I want to get into really so far our takeaways through the first, not only through the first 3 days of the NBA playoffs, but also through the first 8 games of the seeding games. Because as you heard in the show, I was a person who really, for the most part, didn't take these seeding games seriously, right? The NBA, especially in the playoffs, there's no real parity. So we knew the championship contenders coming in. We knew it was going to be the Bucks. We knew it was going to be the Lakers. We knew it was going to be the Clippers. More often than not, one of those 3 teams will be champion. And obviously 2 of the 3, we expect the Bucks to be in the finals, and we expect a Lakers-Clippers Western Conference Finals. So far at least, through the first few seeding games, and now through the first, at least 1 game for the Bucks and the Lakers, and 2 games for the Clippers, I want to ask this question, because ESPN wrote an initial article heading into the playoffs on Monday morning, before everything even started, before we had any results. And they were saying this is the first time since 2015 there was no clear-cut favorite to win the title. There was no odds-on favorite. This team, for the most part, this is where all the money is. This team has the best odds. Some sports books had the Clippers, others had the Lakers, some had the Bucks. So there's no overarching definitive favorite between those 3 that said, you know what, this is the team to beat this year. The Bucks are the team to beat. The Clippers are the team to beat. The Lakers are the team to beat. I think before the restart, the way that things were trending, the Lakers are that team. Since the restart, it's been anything but. And now you look at these 3 teams struggling in the seeding games, now coming out slow in the playoffs. I want to ask you, this is where I want to start. Who is the favorite right now in the NBA? Who is it? Because right now, the 3 teams that we expected to be the favorites, the Bucks, the Clippers, the Lakers, none of those 3 teams have shown you anything to make them the definitive favorite. None of them have given you confidence to say, you know what, this team I'm riding with. They look good. They look like they came ready to play. If it's them or the field, I'm taking that team. Has any team shown you that so far? Because they haven't for me. The Bucks, again, take what you want from the seeding games, but so far these seeding games have bled into the playoffs. The Bucks went 3-5. Dropped their first game against the Magic. Down 0-1 in the series when they played today. The Lakers also 3-5. Dropped the first game to the Blazers. The same issues that kind of popped up in the seeding games for the Lakers popped up again in the first game against Portland. Clippers went 5-3, but so far through 2 games in their series against the Mavericks, they lost last night. And honestly, if Kristaps Porzingis isn't ejected in the second half, there's a legitimate shot. You can make a legitimate case. The Clippers could be down 0-2 right now. They could be waking up, maybe going from finals favorites to an 0-2 hole against Dallas. So out of those 3 teams, maybe in your mind, you like the Raptors. You like a team, maybe the Heat, maybe the Nuggets, who got washed yesterday, by the way. Maybe it's the Rockets. But I want to ask you, who in your mind so far is the favorite in the NBA to win the finals? Because this is the one sport there's no parity. The better teams, the more talented teams win out more often than not. And the NBA is the easiest one to predict in terms of who's going to make it to the conference finals and who's going to win. You always have an idea, and there's, for the most part, not many upsets. Things go according to plan. Things go according to the seeds. But so far, we've seen anything but that. So of the 3 teams that I think are still tops to win, people still have the most faith in, Lakers, Bucks, Clippers. What order would you put them in? Who's the favorite? I'll go from 3 to 1. I'll go from my least confident team with the confidence I have the least, team that I think has the worst shot at winning the title to the best. Right now, at number 3 for me, out of these 3 top teams, again, the Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, we'll rank them out of the 3. The Lakers are the bottom for me. Because you know why? There is legitimate concerns here. In the bubble, they were the worst 3-point field goal shooting team in those seeding games. They were last in points per game scored. Their offense was seriously problematic. But, it's a seeding games. It's LeBron trying to get back and gearing up. Anthony Davis revving up. It's teams like the Lakers who clinched the first seed already, have really nothing to play for. They use these seeding games to a chance to rev up their engines, kind of get back in the flow, so that by that time the playoffs start, they're ready to roll. And we watched that first game against Portland on Tuesday night, and what happened? They couldn't hit water from a boat from 3. I think there was a lid on the rim. They went 5 for 32 from 3. They didn't score 100 points against the Blazers, which everyone, if we put a a pickup game of me, you, and 3 of your friends that are listening right now. Us 5 could score 100 points on the Blazers. They were giving up points like it's no big deal. And the Lakers still couldn't crack 100 points. And not to mention, look at the overall team. LeBron played well. Anthony Davis didn't play well. But behind them, behind those 2 guys, those 2 superstars, which you rely upon and think day in and day out, they'll be pretty good. They'll lead the team. No one has stepped up. Their depth has been horrible. Danny Green, Long Island guy. Shout out. Stunk. Condavious Caldwell-Pope. Alex Caruso. I understand they have injuries. Avery Bradley's not there. Rajon Rondo hurt his thumb. Kyle Kuzma played nice, but no one really stepped up. So I have legitimate concerns. I am taking what I saw seriously in those seeding games that transferred over so far to Game 1 against the Blazers. I'm taking it seriously. So right now, call me maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm being too dramatic. The Lakers, to me, are in serious trouble. And that's why out of the 3 favorites, they're on the bottom. They are the one I have least confidence in. Because those problems are real. They were exacerbated in the Game 1 against the Blazers. And this is not like the Blazers played lights out, played their best game ever, and caught the Lakers on a bad night. Portland didn't even play their best. Well, I want to get into the Lakers more here in a second, and in just about 10 minutes or so, because I want to ask if there's serious concern about the Lakers. Forget just making it to the conference finals. Forget making it to the finals. To get out of the first round. I want to dive into a little more of these things I just talked about. But for me, out of the 3 teams, the Lakers are third. I'm going to try to think in terms of who should be the favorite. Who do you have the most confidence in making the finals? Lakers are third. Second is the Bucks. Now, I am a little concerned, I'll be honest, about their defense. They entered the bubble, number 1 in defensive rating. They exited at least the seeding games 10th. And again, I understand you use these seeding games to, again, get back in your rhythm, get the flow going. You've been off for 4 months. They're essentially, say what you want, they're preseason games at best. But here's where I do get concerned. Here's where I do take these seeding games serious, at least what happens in them. It's because they start to bleed over into games that matter, into games that count, then I think these problems are serious. These problems aren't ones that are just overlooked because they weren't trying, because, the best players were sitting half the games. The Bucks' strategy on defense is basically they're going to protect the paint. Obviously, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, a man amongst boys out there, an athletic freak, the Greek freak for a reason. He protects the paint. So the Bucks will give up 3-pointers, but they won't give you easy baskets. They won't give you layups. Well, guess what? That's a little concerning because guess what happens now in the league? Guess what teams are focused on doing more of? Shooting threes. And if those threes aren't falling from the Bucks and they're giving up threes, that's when you're in trouble. And that's what the Magic did in Game 1. The Magic have nowhere close to the talent they should have the Bucks. I said previewing the series, the only thing the Bucks have to worry about is making sure Giannis doesn't get frustrated to where he headbutts someone and gets a serious suspension. That's it. So I still think they'll be fine in terms of the series with the Magic. But it is a little concerning that their defensive strategy was exposed by a team that's not even a great three-point shooting team. Sure, maybe the Magic had a great night, and they did. But when you play teams against like the Celtics, the Raptors, they can hurt you from 3. There's serious concern. But with that said, again, one game, they still have the best player in the NBA, MVP this season in Giannis. Still feeling pretty good against the Bucks, with the Bucks, excuse me. They do have a little bit of issues on defense. See if they can bounce back, but that's why I have them at least as my number 2 team. Number 1 right now, the team I still think should be the favorite. Despite, again, possibly, potentially being one iffy technical away from being down 0-2 in the series against the Mavericks. I still have the Clippers. Like I said, I think in the NBA especially, talent wins out. 2 things, really 3 things the Clippers have. Talent, depth, championship experience. Kawhi's won 2 finals. Paul George has been in the playoffs a lot. And you have that core. Pat Bev, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell were great in the playoffs, actually. They really pushed the Warriors in that Game 1 series. I think more than ever, you have to rely on that championship experience, that playoff experience, because it's different now. You got to know how to win. So for me, the biggest concern for the Clippers, the biggest flaw they have is just their lack of continuity. Game 1 was the first time they had their full cavalry of players available. Montrezl missed the entire seeding game portion of the bubble and just got cleared quarantine right before game 1. So here's a guy trying to work back into shape, trying to get his basketball legs under him in games that count, in playoff games. So to me, that continuity, that rust will only get better, will only work its way off as they play more together. So as the series gets deeper, I think the Clippers will bounce back, and I think they'll be okay. And in the end, to me, that's why the Clippers, despite, again, dropping last night, kind of getting owned by Luka and the Mavericks, despite the potential of kind of squeaking one out in game 1, getting aided by Kristaps Porzingis getting ejected on a ticky-tack technical, to say the least. I still have the Clippers, to me, at number 1. I think they are still the favorites. So I'm curious your thoughts. Because really, I don't think there's a distinct answer. And maybe you feel there's a team that I didn't even list. Maybe you do like the Raptors. Up 2-0 so far against the Nets. Have looked pretty solid. So I'm curious your thoughts. Whether you want to comment on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. You want to get us on Twitter, WWSRN_radio. Tweet me personally, Ryan_Hickey, and the number 3. Who is the favorite right now in the NBA? Because year in and year out, we always see there's one favorite, there's always one team where the money goes. First time since 2015, there's no definitive favorite. And this was before the playoffs even started. This was Monday morning before the first playoff game started. There was no favorite. Too many casinos, too much money was split between the Lakers, Bucks, and Clippers. 3 days into the playoffs, with most of these teams playing 1, the Clippers playing 2 games, I don't think any of these teams gave you a reason to say they are the favorite. They are the clear-cut favorite. I have the confidence in them the most that they will get it done.